Okay, let's talk Phoenix, the super team era. Yeah, that's dead. Gone. Remember 2023? Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul. It felt, completely unstoppable on paper.
Totally. The hype was real.
But today, it's crashed and burned. And honestly, the smart money says Kevin Durant is packing his bags. You sent us the analysis and we really dug into it. Why did this dream implode so fast? And where could KD, one of the best scorers ever, possibly land next?
It's a fascinating situation. The speed of it all is just, wow.
Right. Let's unpack this rapid unraveling in Phoenix and figure out what the future might hold for KD.
What hits me first is just how quickly those massive expectations dissolved. It wasn't a slow decline. It felt more like hitting a wall.
Exactly. When they made that trade for Durant in 2023, pairing him with Booker and CP3, the buzz was off the charts.
Championship or bust. Right?
Absolutely. Seemed like a lock for contention.
But the article you shared paints a clear picture. Here we are, 2025, and the Suns are basically looking at the lottery. So remind us, what was the original trade that brought KD over? Well, that trade was Phoenix pushing all their chips in. They sent a huge package to Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. A lot of future capital.
4 firsts. Wow.
Yeah, it was a clear win-now signal, no question. And, it's interesting, like your source probably mentioned, a lot of folks thought Brooklyn actually did pretty well there, setting themselves up long-term.
Which just put immense pressure on Phoenix, right? No room for error.
None. They basically mortgaged a big piece of their future for an immediate shot at the title.
And even though they made the playoffs that first year, 2023, getting bounced in the second round by Denver, I know Denver won it all, but still, it felt like a letdown for that Suns team.
Definitely an underachievement given the talent. So after that, they tried to adjust, tried to tweak the formula.
Yeah, but you could argue those moves just made things, shakier. Trading Chris Paul for Bradley Beal, that was a massive change.
Huge. And then bringing in Frank Vogel as coach, another big shift. Looking back now, did those moves feel logical then?
Well, the Bradley Beal trade, your source calls it a horrific mistake, and honestly, it's hard to argue now. They swapped a proven floor general for another scorer who's been banged up and just hasn't really meshed with Booker and Durant.
Right. And the coaching carousel. Vogel lasts 1 year, then Mike Budenholzer comes in, and now there's talk about him potentially being out.
Exactly. 3 different head coaches in 3 years, all trying to make this core work. What does that tell you?
It screams fundamental issues,
Yeah.
Beyond just X's and O's, you've got all this individual talent, but the fit, the team construction, clearly something wasn't right.
Yeah.
The source probably got into this, but the styles of Durant and Booker, individually amazing, maybe just didn't lift the whole team the way everyone hoped. What did the source say about their on-court chemistry?
It basically said that by 2025, the feeling inside the building was that Durant and Booker just can't play together effectively enough to win big with this roster, and missing the play-in entirely in the West, even with other teams having their own issues. That just hammers home how bad things got. It wasn't just underperforming, it felt fundamentally broken.
Yeah, abysmal. And the analysis points out their hands are kind of tied now. Beal's contract, with that money and the reported no-trade clause, he's basically immovable unless they want to lose even more.
So that leaves
Durant. He's the only major piece they can realistically move to try and, reset things. Plus, his contract is expiring soon, adding urgency. It's really no shock they were reportedly shopping him before the deadline already.
Which, brings us to the big question. Where does Kevin Durant play next season? The piece mentioned something fascinating. A potential deal back to Golden State that KD himself apparently vetoed. Possibly because of Draymond Green.
Yeah, that's the report. Wild, right? Considering he left Golden State partly to prove he could win without that kind of super team.
The irony is thick there.
It really shows you the complex dynamics, the personalities involved. Durant's legacy is now so tied to these super team attempts, and the idea that going back to his most successful spot was a non-starter adds another layer. Makes you wonder what his priority is now.
Well, the analysis you shared, citing Shams Charania, listed a few teams with mutual interest around the deadline. Let's see, Minnesota, New York, Houston, San Antonio, and Miami.
Oh, okay, quite a mix there.
Let's start with Houston and San Antonio, both young, up-and-coming teams. What's the thinking there for KD?
For both of them, the idea is adding that elite veteran scorer to a promising young core. Houston's made some noise. Maybe they see KD as the guy to push them over the top.
Right.
In San Antonio, you've got Wemby, this potential generational talent. Durant could be the perfect running mate to speed up their timeline, create a monster duo. And importantly, in both spots, KD wouldn't have to be the number one option every single night. Might be good for him, heading towards 37.
Okay, that makes sense. Then you've got Minnesota and New York. The commentary kind of framed them as maybe more
Maybe motivated is a better word. For Minnie in New York, it's likely about making a big splash, a leap forward. Minnesota, despite having KT and Gobert's big deals, maybe they see Durant as the final piece for a real run in the West.
But the money,
Oh.
as your source probably noted, adding KD there, that's a huge payroll.
Oh, absolutely. A massive financial commitment. New York, on the other hand, they've been hunting for that true superstar to lead them in the East. Durant fits that bill, instant offense, playoff experience.
What's the hurdle there, though, for either team?
For Minnesota, yeah, it's the money and just the fit. Maybe too many frontcourt guys. For New York, it's probably having the right package of assets that Phoenix would actually want.
Okay, then Miami. The commentary was pretty blunt, called them delusional. Why?
Yeah. Well, I think that comes from looking at Miami's recent struggles, the Jimmy Butler drama, questions about whether they're truly contenders in the next few years, even with KB.
Right.
Maybe Durant goes for the lifestyle, sure, but he says he wants to win. The analysis kind of suggests Miami might be better off thinking longer-term rebuild instead of a huge trade for an older star.
Gotcha. And the commentary tossed in the Lakers, kind of jokingly, like, only if they gut their young core and picks for another aging star. Seems unlikely given where they are.
Yeah, Lakers always get mentioned, but it feels like a real long shot.
And finally, OKC. The Thunder. A cute story, a potential reunion, but probably not happening unless they totally flame out in the playoffs, right?
Exactly. It's more nostalgia. OKC seems pretty set on building with their young guys. Adding KD's salary might actually mess up their plan, even if the story is nice.
So, after running through all those possibilities, where does the analysis say is the most likely spot for KD?
San Antonio. The Spurs are presented as the most logical fit.
Why them specifically?
The reasoning is mainly twofold. One, assets. The Spurs are loaded with future draft picks and young talent, exactly the kind of package Phoenix would likely demand.
Okay, makes sense.
And two, the fit on the court. Like we said, Durant wouldn't have to carry the whole load playing alongside Wembanyama and their other young guys. He could slot in, maybe extend his prime a bit, and give them a real shot at contending sooner rather than later. The age factor, him turning 37 soon, plays into that too. A slightly less demanding role might be appealing.
And the analysis really digs into just how bad things got in Phoenix. It highlights that reported clash between Durant and Coach Budenholzer.
Yeah, the third coach in 3 years he's apparently had issues with. That's not ideal.
Not ideal, is putting it mildly. The conclusion from the source is stark.
Yeah.
Absolutely no way Durant stays in Phoenix. What does that constant coaching change and reported friction tell us?
It paints a picture of a pretty toxic or at least fractured environment, right? A major disconnect somewhere. Players and coaches, maybe unrealistic expectations from the top. When a star like Durant clashes with multiple coaches, it points to deep-rooted problems.
And the commentary pulls no punches on why a turnaround seems impossible. Basically, unless they hire another coach, Durant and Booker magically change how they play, and the salary cap explodes. None of that's happening.
Right, wishful thinking.
The team's play was called abysmal. Their defense was near the bottom of the league. There was even talk the team quit on their coach. It's a really harsh assessment.
When you have that kind of failure on the court and reports of internal strife, yeah, big changes are inevitable. It's hard to see how this version of the Suns runs it back.
So, looking ahead for KD personally, the commentary really stresses he needs to trust the front office wherever he lands next, especially after Brooklyn and Phoenix, where he reportedly had input on moves that, well, didn't work out.
That's a huge point. Who's building the team around him? Can he trust their vision this time?
There's also this interesting take on his career overall, acknowledging him as, undeniably one of the greatest scorers ever, potential top 5 talent, but also noting the career mismanagement, maybe, that's led him here. What's your take on that view?
I think it's fair, if a bit tough. His talent is generational. 2 rings, finals MVPs. But yeah, the journey since Golden State, Brooklyn, now Phoenix, it's been marked by these super teams that just didn't reach the ultimate goal. Lots of what ifs.
Yeah, and the piece sort of expresses hope that his legacy isn't just defined by these shorter, less successful stints. Since leaving the Warriors, he hasn't made it past the second round, right? only a few playoff appearances overall.
Correct. It's been a frustrating stretch post-Golden State, championship-wise.
But the final word from the analysis is clear. His time in Phoenix is over. So wrapping up this deep dive, it seems the Suns' big gamble failed. Bad fit, coaching chaos, roster issues, Durant and Booker just didn't work together as hoped, and now a trade feels almost certain.
Seems that way.
After hearing all this, what was the biggest surprise for you about how fast it all fell apart there? And for everyone listening, where do you think Kevin Durant ends up? Which team makes the most sense for KD right now?
The speed is still the shocker for me, given the names involved. And yeah, Durant's next move is fascinating. Does he chase the best title shot, even if it means being option 1B or 2? Or does he prioritize something else?
We definitely want to hear your predictions. Drop them in the comments below. Where does KD land? And hey, if you found this breakdown valuable, give us a like and make sure you're subscribed for more deep dives into the stories shaping the game.
Yeah, let us know. And it leaves you with a final thought, right, Nay? Considering his insane talent, his rings, is Kevin Durant's legacy ultimately going to be defined more by the championships or by these dramatic, often messy career shifts trying to win more? Something to chew on.